say, kids, what time is it?
So 3/4 of the season is gone, I think, now. At
You
least
blink and
3/4.
it's over, right?
It's over.
It happens every week, every year like this.
I know. Every year you never see it coming, and then it's over. And
It's
I
official.
think this was the week that you know how you have those events not events like instances like the Alamo and Custer where the outnumbered side is fighting valiantly, and you think, oh, they're going to pull it off, and then and then the other side just comes and just wipes them out. This
Yeah.
was the week for that. A lot of big comebacks that just fell short. I think there was like 5 or 6 games that were like that.
Yeah, there were. There were. As opposed to earlier in the year where it seemed like a lot of those went the way of the team that came
And actually
back.
did it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
came back and won. Yeah, and starting with that Thursday night, which was a thriller.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. We're officially off of buys.
Yep.
So, and we're into Saturday football now,
Oh, that's right.
which
Yeah,
is
2
which
games.
is pretty
Two
interesting.
good games. I mean, the way they're scheduled wound up being good games on Saturday,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Thursday one is too. But
I know. I was looking at that when I was making the graphics. I'm like, why are all the good games before Sunday?
I know. That's
Yeah. And we haven't seen the network flex yet.
I think there was that one. Didn't they flex one game on Sunday?
Did they?
It was it wasn't this last Sunday. It was a couple weeks ago.
Did they? I
I
don't
gotta look
remember
up.
any flex, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know now ESPN also gets the option to flex this year on their last Monday night. So
Oh, okay.
the week 18, so they don't end up with a game that means nothing. They want to,
Yeah, there's a lot of
a lot of
there's usually
advertising dollars, right? So
yeah.
they got to have
Yeah,
something with viewers.
that last week usually there are a lot of games that kind of like one team or the other is like, I don't have anything to play for.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
you want to avoid that.
In fact, let me look real quick. Let's see what they're currently scheduled for. That last week is. They're not scheduled for a Monday night game at all, but they said they were going to have one.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that's
interesting.
right. I always thought that the last week doesn't get a Monday
Yeah,
night.
I guess they're going to flex one in.
Huh.
Maybe that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
They're going to handpick one off.
Okay. So they didn't
Maybe.
pick one.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I could have heard that wrong too. You watch these games, it gets late at night, and
Maybe it's a Sunday night that will get but the ESPN doesn't have that. Never mind. I always thought they avoided Monday night because it gives if it's a playoff team, then you get punished for that because you get a shorter week to prepare for playoffs.
that's true.
Like
And
if you're I always thought that, so I didn't think there was, but maybe there is. I don't know.
and they don't have a late Sunday night game on week 18 either. So maybe it's week 17 they're going to do
Wow.
that. I'm not sure. You're watching the game on Monday night and you're kind of fighting to stay awake at the end. And Steve Levy said something about that. If that's true, then they're currently scheduled to have the Browns and the Steelers the week before on week 17. So maybe they'll flex that one out. So.
Or maybe you only get the crop of games where I know that doesn't make sense for ratings, but it would have to be 2 teams that didn't make the playoffs. So
But it
they
would
don't
have to be a compelling watch because the
right.
advertising
I mean,
dollars that go
yeah.
into
So
the
what's
prime
the
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a point. It's like, I don't
Not
know.
at all. I don't know. You know what? We're going to find out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Is it 2 weeks? Or like we're going 15 and then 16, 17.
3.
Okay, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
4 more
how'd you
weeks.
do last week? I got a game on you.
9-5. Certainly a lot better than that skid in the middle a couple weeks ago, but not enough to beat you.
Yeah, I did 10-4. I got a game back on you,
Yep.
which kind of helps, but I'm still trailing you by 5. Overall, I'm at 118-90. You're at 123-85. So,
Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those comebacks I'm gonna blow.
So we'll see. I mean, I got 4 weeks left here. Getting down to the nitty and the gritty, as they say.
Yep.
So, should we jump into the games this week and then go from there?
Yep.
All right.
The full slate, like you said.
Full slate. We got 16 games, so we're gonna have to rocket through these. First up, Thursday night football. Like we said, some of the better games are before Sunday. We got the 9-3 Chefs traveling to LA to take on the resurgent Chargers on Amazon Prime, NFL Network, and Fox at 8:20.
Yeah, this could be an actual like game of the week. It's like both
Yeah.
these teams are now just getting back to their earlier, just hitting their stride. Herbert's going back to how he was like a world killer in the first like 6 games of the year, and the Chiefs. It looked like they found their offense again, but I'm reserving my expectations of them because I don't know how the Raiders are. If the Raiders are doing their usual late year swoon. So I don't know. I'd have to see more from the Chiefs' offense. Their defense, though, that's been consistently good for like the last 4 or 5. They've actually kept them in games and probably won some of those games that where their offense wasn't doing much. I know it's like, yeah, I usually don't go for the road team on these divisions, but I am going to go with the Chiefs in this case because of what I just said, because their defense is just being consistently good, and I think they'll hold off the Chargers enough so that the Chiefs will score enough points to win, I think.
Well said. Yeah, the Chiefs' defense suddenly looks good. They don't
Really
just
good.
look like decent; they look good, and I don't think I've seen them play this well in a long time, if ever. They're just like their pass rush is insane. All of a sudden,
That
they're
was
turning people over
yeah.
again. Yeah, they look good, and the offense is doing enough. I think getting Clyde Edward-Helaire back is
Yeah.
helping that offense a little bit. I mean, it doesn't give them balance, but it gives them the illusion or the
Yeah.
potential of having balance. So, you saw that big play with Hardman last week. Like, those plays weren't happening, especially
Right.
with guys like Hardman. Like, those second and third tier receivers weren't making those kind of plays earlier in the year. He comes back, and, Williams is a nice compliment to him, too. So, on the other side, the Chargers look better, but
Yep.
I have doubts about the Chargers. There's just something that doesn't feel right. Maybe you
I
feel the
agree.
same
I
thing,
just
right?
don't know how to say it, but I agree with
I
you.
don't know how to say it either. It just feels like this. It feels like in a big spot their defense is going to roll over, and it feels like Herbert is capable of forcing a mistake in a big spot. I just feel like they don't feel like they did at the beginning, even though they're winning. They don't feel
Right.
like they did the first 4 or 5 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that said, I'm also taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that they have also the illusion of like that you can have this comeback with under Herbert under any circumstances, and at some point they're gonna like fall for that too many times, and like you said, it's gonna be like a fatal mistake and like landing in a turnover or down, turning the ball over on downs or something. You know how they used to like make every fourth down.
Yeah, right. Now they're yeah.
Now they're kind of not. So you're right.
They've kind of fallen into a realm of predictability in
Yep.
certain spots in situational football. There was one last week where they gave it to Eckler on a 3rd and short, and it was obvious, and he
Yep.
went 4 yards backwards. Right? It was like, why did you just play? I mean, I sitting on my couch knew what was coming. So come
Yep.
on, that's what I feel like with them. They're going to make the wrong call at the wrong time. Their defense is going to make a mistake. Their offense, it just doesn't seem like they're where the Chiefs suddenly are. That's probably the easiest way to summarize it.
Yep. Yep.
Next up, Saturday. We got some Saturday football, but your SOL, that stands for shit out of luck if you don't have the NFL network.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because this game is on only the NFL network, 4:30 p.m. The Vegas Raiders travel to Cleveland to take on the COVID's-riddled Browns.
Yeah, that was what a breaking start. How many they got? Like 6 or 7 starters out, I believe. Um,
Mayfield's on the list now.
uh, it's
Stefanski, the
like,
head coach, but they've won without him. They killed Pittsburgh without him.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know. And I think they've won without Mayfield too, but that's not something you want to get into the
That's
habit of.
true. They beat Denver without. Yep.
On the other hand, you have the Raiders coming in who are like kind of just fell off the earth, and they're the ones whose defense got killed last week by the Chiefs. Um, it's hard to imagine the Raiders again. Right about this time last week or a few weeks earlier, they're just kind of just something happened, some switch, and I kind of wonder. I know last year they had Gruden the whole year, but I kind of wonder if they were doing so well early this year that if Gruden was there, would he be able to somehow keep them from falling apart? I don't know. I mean, we'll never know.
I'm
But
inclined to think yes on that.
yeah,
They
so
seem to have something going with him this year.
yeah, they definitely did. Remember how you always used to, and I agreed with you. You always used to say they were like having fun. They had like a familiar, like a family type thing going on, where it's like they were just backing each other up
Very
and
loosey
just
goosey.
yeah, and just I don't know. Everything kind of seems to go wrong now.
Yeah.
Carr seems to be running for his life and just throwing it up for grabs, and I don't know. I initially wanted to go with Cleveland. I'm still going to stick with Cleveland, even though they have all these people might be out for COVID, because I somehow will figure that Cleveland will find a way to win, even with all those without all those players, because they've been kind of doing this throughout the year. They've had quite a few injuries throughout the year, and because the Raiders are, they're kind of falling apart.
Yeah, well, the Browns have that running game. That's one thing they
Yes,
have.
yeah,
It
and
doesn't.
their defense doesn't seem to be that hit
No,
either,
that's true.
does it? So yeah.
That's true. Yeah. The Raiders. I don't know. I don't think Waller's going to play again this week. I don't know.
Oh, that's bad.
He's still trying to get back, and Carl Nassib should be back, which will help their defense. Max Crosby's production has really trailed off without Nassib on the other side. I've got a feeling the Raiders are going to pull this one out, though.
Okay.
I think Cleveland's missing. If they don't
Yeah.
have Jarvis Landry, if they don't have Baker Mayfield, I mean, I see your point. I totally see your point, and I get Cleveland's running game is awesome. So they do have that. I don't know in their home, but I don't know. I just feel like the Raiders are gonna find a way to get to 500. Put the Browns at 500. I mean, this is the way the AFC is now. They've all got the same record. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Who knows? It is a toss-up though because of the COVID situation.
Yep.
So we shall see. But
Oh yeah, it's not a very confident pick, like I said, but
neither's mine. I just feel like the Raiders.
Right, I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because when I picked Cleveland, I was thinking of all those players playing. So
of course.
now
Oh no! If Cleveland had their full complement, Browns all the way.
Yeah.
Browns all the way. But again, I'm going to, I'm looking at the quarterback situation. Give the little edge to Carr, and Renfro might score enough to pull it out. I don't know. Well, we'll find out on Saturday.
Yep. And we'll have 12 teams vying for 3 wildcard playoff spots in the last week.
Exactly. Next up, also shit out of luck without the NFL Network. Saturday, 8:15 p.m., the game of the week, and it's got that, oddly enough, it feels like the old Brady versus Manning matchups that they used to have. It's the New England Patriots at 9-4 against the Indianapolis Colts at 7-6.
Oh, both Saturday games are exclusively on the NFL Network. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
This game. You're right. I think this game might, other than the Chiefs and the Chargers, this one might be the actual game of the week. The Patriots coming off a bye, going on that 7-game winning streak?
Yeah,
or it might be more. 7 games.
7 games.
I kept going back and forth on this because Belichick is one of the coaches that will come up with a game plan to fluster quarterbacks like Wentz.
Lennon.
He can Wentz who plays for the Colts, or he's playing, right? Is he?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And because he's easy to fluster, and then he makes a lot of mistakes. So that I'm sure, I think that's when on his mind he'll try to do that. But they do have that very strong running game. So if the Colts could get out to an early lead, they really have a good chance at this. And I think that's going to be the same play with the Patriots, who when they played the Bills was just like that. There's get out to an early lead and then just kind of hold on. So I kind of landed my final pick on the Colts because they're just at home. But again, I think this is kind of a pick 'em.
I agree with you. This is kind of a pick 'em, and it's weird how we've been making the analogy that this Patriots team feels like that 2001-ish team.
Yeah.
And I've been sneaking a peek at those Man in the Arena Tom Brady
Yeah.
shows, and boy, I gotta tell you, I went 2 decades wanting to kick that guy in the teeth. But when you watch that, it's like you understand what's going on there, especially the fourth episode where they talk about the undefeated season and they lost to the Giants.
Oh,
And Randy Moss is in that episode. And Randy Moss talks about the difference between playing in a place like Oakland or Minnesota and then going to New England.
jeez. Yeah.
And the difference in the coaching and the difference in the discipline and and what they like to stress a lot is just how the players not only buy into Belichick's system and all of the coaches on the team, but the players try to one up each other all the time. Oh, Tom said this, like, oh, you watched an hour of film, I watched 3. Oh, you got to the weight room at 6:30 this morning, I was there at 6. I got a half hour on you. Like they were competing, friendly
Wow.
competing against themselves to get better. That's why their standard is where it is. That's why they win so much. It's incredible. They're like a machine, and it's something to watch. I highly recommend it. That said, the first couple episodes cover '01 to like '05, and that was the
Okay.
team that had that really really awesome defense
Yep.
and a just good enough offense with Brady as he was coming along and learning and maturing as a quarterback. That's this team.
Yep. That's his team.
That's this team. It's like it's been reincarnated with new faces. That said, I'm going to make this quick because I've already wasted a lot of time on this game. I agree with you that I think the Colts at home, because the Colts are red hot. The Colts need the win,
Oh, they
and
certainly do.
as hot as the Patriots are, 7 in a row might be max for them. I don't think they're that good to win 8. Maybe they are. Maybe they are, but I think this is the one they kind of stub their toe a little bit and have to reset. So I'm going to give it to the Colts as well. Next up, and the reason I said Mike Glennon, because I was looking at it instead of paying attention, is
Okay.
the on Sunday, 1 o'clock on
Yeah.
Fox,
Yeah.
the 9-4 Cowboys travel up here to New York to take on the 4-9 Mike Glennons.
Yeah. Good point. The Giants QB situation is, you know, is a mess.
That's what the G
Well,
stands for. It's NYG is New York Glennon.
I think the Giants in general have been a mess for quite a few weeks actually. A mix of injuries and kind of I don't know what's going on with them. I guess they kind of just been giving up little by little for the past 4 or 5 weeks. But you know, usually this is a dangerous game for the Cowboys, and I still think it's kind of dangerous if they don't get their act together. I mean, this is a team, the Cowboys, that they're going to miss a big opportunity if they don't get that offense working right because they could go really far. They have a legitimate like top 5 defense. I mean, did you see what they did to Washington, who was like red hot before they got? It's in Washington. I mean,
Randy Gregory comes back,
yeah,
and suddenly, like their pass rush from
their
hell, and
pass rush is really
it
yeah
gave.
because they didn't have a big pass rush and they actually had Parsons be their main and
I
now
was gonna
they got
say
the back. Yeah,
because they're too worried about the line. You got that was the first time Lawrence, Gregory, and they all played together for the
yeah,
first time.
yeah,
It opened up so many lanes for Parsons, who's starting to look like Lawrence Taylor.
yep,
Oh,
yep.
by the way, yeah, that was.
Yeah, they had Washington shut out in the first half. I think like six or seven drives that Washington had was like an average of 11 yards per drive. It was unbelievable that defense, and it's like, and I don't know what's going on with the offense. Honestly, I don't know if Dak Prescott just has that injury still kind of lingering on him. Something's not clicking for some reason. I don't know if it's like I know I still don't know exactly what's going on, but Ezekiel Elliott is hurt, but it doesn't. I can't really tell, like because they play him and then they don't play. Then they keep him out. I don't know. Is he good for like a half and then they don't want to push it? I'm not sure what's going on there. But they have all their receivers back, and I don't know. I saw Prescott kind of like he threw two interceptions that were really bad, and I saw him missing quite a few wide open receivers. So they really need to get this offense back on track. I mean, this could be the game that they could do it, but if they do, they'll be kind of like a team that I think threatens to go like all the way to the end of the playoffs. But I'm obviously going to pick them because they're in such much better shape than the Giants. But if they're not careful, if they kind of have the Giants hang around for a long time, they could blow the game like this.
Well said. Yeah, this feels like one of those games where the Giants pull one out, like the aforementioned Super Bowl against the Patriots. Like, this is what the Giants tend to do to people. Whenever you think they're lousy, they give you a right uppercut. Your assessment of the Cowboys' offense is spot on. I think the combination of Zeke's injury, Prescott has not been right since he came back. He looks totally different. At the beginning of the year, he was putting up 400 plus yards.
Yep.
He looked like an MVP caliber quarterback, and now he looks no better than Carson Wentz or somebody like that, or basically Kirk Cousins, and So that said, boy, that Dallas defense looks dynamite, and they're going up against Mike Glennon and a Saquon Barkley who's not all the way back yet.
That's the other one. The other thing I forgot to mention, he doesn't seem to be all the way back still.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a full year. You see these guys with these ACLs are able to come back a lot quicker now, but they're not at 100% yet. They're limited. Has he cracked 100 yards in a game yet this year?
I don't think so.
I haven't. I mean, I don't look closely, but I'm seeing 65, 42, 24. Like, I'm not seeing anything big out of him. And he'll have like one or two highlight runs that looks like classic Barkley.
Right.
But he's just not, and a lot of it could also be their line and their scheming. I don't think Joe Judge survived this at all. I think the Giants, they had such high expectations. They went out and got him Kyle Rudolph. They went out and got him the kid from Detroit, Galloway. Everything was in place for Daniel Jones to take that next step. The team was supposed to take the next step. They built a line in front of him, and it's still not working out. So I've got Dallas on the road as well in this one.
Yeah, the only thing that could worry me about Dallas is they're starting to be like that Chiefs offense from like 4 or 5 weeks ago, where they're kind of nonchalant about it, kind of whatever. It's like that intercept when they're up by 2 touchdowns and he throws a pick six. You got to be real careful. You can't just do that. You can't. That's the only reason why they got into the game.
And then Washington gets the onside kick. They get the onside kick, and suddenly, I mean, they went backwards, but still, like. God,
it's like this kind of like not taking care of the ball thing. It's like I hate it.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
By the way, there were 4 onside kicks recovered this past weekend. There were 4 all season. There were 4 in.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about.
That's
when we
insane.
Get to Baltimore, we could talk about the Cleveland game.
That's insane.
It is.
And it happened on Monday night. I couldn't believe it happened again. So, yeah, just cray. Next up. The one that everyone's holding their breath for, and good thing that it's not on the NFL Network, so everybody can watch it. It's on CBS.
You can all watch this.
CBS is free, unless you're in the area. They'll black it out.
Yeah.
The 2-11 Houston Texans travel down to Jacksonville to take on the 2-11 Jacksonville Jaguars. Somebody's getting hosed out of a draft spot.
And I was saying just a little, the Giants are not, the Jaguars are an even bigger. I mean, they have a mess all around. It's like the coach is just like lost the whole. I think he lost that whole team.
He's a freak show.
With his comments, he makes these like throws them all under the bus, and he's just like he's supposed to be an offensive coach. They haven't like scored an offensive touchdown in how long?
Worse, it looks like he's ruining his.
Yeah, the quarterback is going backwards. He was playing a little bit better earlier in the year, like in the middle of the season, but now it's like
Trevor Lawrence is starting to look really bad.
They're unwatchable.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying Houston's that much better, but I think they've competed in a lot better than the Jaguars, so I'm going with them.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are a freak show right now, and I'm wondering why. I think maybe the owner Khan doesn't want to fire Urban Meyer quite yet. I think maybe he wants to get his money's worth and leave him around to the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. I mean, what did he call? He called all his assistant coaches chicken shit or something, didn't
Yeah.
he, or something like that? Like,
It's
there's,
like,
he's a psycho. He's a narcissistic psycho, and you saw it before the season even started.
yep,
Why'd they hire
yep,
this guy? On top of it, it's another example, and we've seen it several times. Jimmy Johnson aside, although Jimmy Johnson, after his initial early success, kind of floundered around for a while.
yeah, yeah, yep.
These college coaches, these big name college coaches, the Bill O'Briens and the Urban Meyers and the what's his name there in Alabama,
Saban,
Saban. Like they come in and they just
and what was the guy that started with wanted to revolutionize the Eagles offense, and that lasted like
Chip
20 years.
Kelly. There you
Yeah,
go.
same thing.
Even go back to who was the guy there? He came in from Florida years and years ago and ended up going back to South Carolina.
That's right.
Name's on the tip of my tongue, but this goes back. I mean, this is a lot of times you bring in these marquee college coaches and they can't. I don't think they can function in the structure of a professional environment. It's kind of it's the analogy. All right, here we go again. Take a time out. I got to go on my soapbox. It's kind of the analogy I have with academia in general. Okay,
That's
most
true.
of the people who work in academia cannot function in the private sector. This is why they have to work in academia.
Yep.
They cannot deal with deadline structure, chaos, any of these kind of things. These people like, oh, I got to grade papers. Oh, well, good luck to you on that. And I think that in a case like Urban Meyer, it's the same application. At the college, he's in charge of everything. If he wants a couple more guys to go out and recruit, they give him an endowment, or the alumni association contributes more money and they hire somebody and off they go, right? This is different. He's got an owner. He's got, a general manager he's got to answer to. He's got professional athletes that don't want to listen to his nonsense. When you're screaming at college kids and you're kind of the gateway to the next level, like I want to be in the NFL. I got to listen to everything this dude tells me. He's a winning coach.
Yep.
If I do what Urban Meyer tells me, I might either get drafted or I might be a free agent walk-on, but I might get a shot at the next level. Now they're at that level. Why would they listen to him?
Why would they listen? Yeah.
Well, what has he
Definitely
done
a
in the
different
professional
environment,
ranks? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And he's coming in there, and I think he's treating them like children. And some of these guys are, 8, 9, 10-year veterans. They're not going to listen to this dude. They're like, shut the hell up. I make more money than you.
Yeah. And he knows in his college program, most of the opponents he's gonna meet like that. Those coaches aren't gonna come up with like a defensive plan to stop them. But this is professional football. They all learn really fast, and they hit you hard. And it's like, I don't care what little gimmick you have, that catches up pretty quick.
Very quick. It's a copycat league, as we know, and they all talk to each other and they all share films. And I mean, come on. I mean, you're exactly right. And you have in college football too, you have that level of incompetence.
Yeah.
Even on a good college football team, how many of those guys actually make it to the next level?
Yeah.
3, 5 tops, maybe a half dozen. Right?
Right.
The rest of them are they're good college football players to mediocre college football players. And the pros, the worst NFL players, are better than almost anybody on that college team, right? So I think this is why these guys wash out. And it's that kind of that thing that people who spend their entire life in academia cannot function outside of it.
Yeah. In the real world.
They cannot function in the real world. They like to talk about the real world. They like to tell you what the real world is like. They don't have a fucking clue what the real world is like. Yeah. I know, because I was in higher ed for 10 years and I watched it play out right in front of me. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Kids, save your money. So that said, I'm taking Houston on the road as well.
That's it. Here's my 2-second pick.
That said, I'll take the professional team over the college coach team. So rant over. Moving on. Sunday, 1:00 on CBS, the 9-4 Tennessee Titans travel to Pittsburgh. Sorry about that. To take on the 6-1 Steelers.
Yeah, I want to give the Steelers a lot of compliment the Steelers a lot for the last couple of weeks. Their offense has certainly come alive, and I think they're look like the old Steelers when they're like doing really well. And I think that has a lot to do with I think Najee Harris. That guy is good, and
Yes, he
not only
is.
is he good, but he's like actually acts professional for someone who's like, what was he drafted this year?
Yeah,
Was he
first round
drafted?
pick.
He's so professional. I mean, they're down 29-0. He goes in for the first touchdown, turns, flips the ball to the ref, and walks right out. I noticed those things as
Contrast
opposed.
that with Chase Claypool,
Yeah,
who wants
exactly.
music at practices and celebrates when they're out of timeouts in the
And
middle
when
of the
they're out of
field. And
timeouts,
yeah,
and lost a bunch of seconds because he's got to give the first down signal when
had to
they
have the
got
ball
one.
taken away from him.
Yep, yep. I mean, not Najee Harris is not just professional in that way. He did a lot of runs that were like kind of like the Minnesota defense had him in the backfield and kind of got away from them and turned them into gains. I mean,
I
he's
have
good
a
in the
man
passing
crush.
game.
I have a man crush on Najee Harris. I'm sorry, I admit it. I mean, when they drafted him and I started watching interviews with him, I was
Good.
like, "Oh my god, this kid
That was great.
he's
That was a great
really
pick.
he's
Yeah.
super smart. He's he's a good person.
He's good. He blocks the blitzes.
Does everything. Does everything.
He goes out in the passing game, and obviously he runs really well. And I give him a lot of compliment to them. And I know Cook is another running back I compliment a lot from this
Yes.
game because he was hurt and he might not even supposed to play, and then to come on there and basically carry that team because Cousins was terrible. And I know they wouldn't have won. Minnesota would not have won that game without Cook there. I'm like 100% sure of that. So I wanted to say, so the Steelers are being very competitive. I'm still going to pick the Titans because they're kind of like, they're starting to see like their passing game come back. Some of their injured players, both on the offensive line and the defense, are coming. Their defense is certainly playing a lot better, and they're like at kind of like in a good place right now because I heard the report that they're supposed to get Henry back by week 18.
Yeah.
And if
He's ahead of
that will like
schedule.
kind of, yeah, and that will kind of like put them in the great position to really for the playoffs, because we talked about this earlier, how Henry was getting so many carries and so much work that will he have anything at the end of the year for playoffs? Well, he will now because he's been out resting for all these weeks. So that injury, not that I want anybody injured, might play better for them because the Titans have kind of like an easier back at the end schedule, and they can kind of try to cruise through. Not that the Steelers will be easy, not in Pittsburgh, but I think the Titans will figure out how to win this game.
Okay. Yeah, the Titans are finally getting all these pieces. They put so much money into Julio Jones and Bud Dupree, and
Yeah.
neither of them have hardly played at all.
I know.
They're not getting their ROI, return on investment.
Yep. Yep.
For those two guys. Complimenting the Steelers for their offensive explosions in the second half is kind of. I mean, yes, got to give Ben credit and you got to give the team credit, but at the same time, when you dig these holes for yourself,
yeah,
the other team takes their foot off the gas a little bit, and gives you some movement because they're just playing it safe. They don't want to make a mistake. Minnesota's up 29-0. They're like, we can give the Steelers a touchdown, maybe even two, but then the mistakes start happening. And all of a sudden, they couldn't stop the bleeding. And I think what else it shows, it clearly shows that when Roethlisberger goes to this no huddle, the up tempo offense, he's calling the plays on the field. Matt Canada is not a part of this thing, and I think that's a huge statement. I think it's an indictment of their offensive coordinator that they cannot get out of their own way in the first half. They can't move the ball. They can't do anything. And then they dig a big hole because their defense is missing so many players. Their defense is not even close to what it's supposed to be. That Ben has to do his Ben Roethlisberger thing. And I got to give him credit for one thing. I thought he was done and washed up, and he looks, both of these last two games in the second half, he looks 10 years younger. He looks like old Ben. He's rolling out. He's throwing on the run. He's doing everything he can. I mean, he got hit so many times that night and hard. He got blown up. He got blasted, and he got up. I'm not sure another quarterback gets up. I mean, he got creamed. Yep. So, they talk about how he's not throwing guys off like he used to, and he's not as strong as he used to be. But, boy, he can still take those hits.
Yep.
All that said, the Steelers are one of those enigmatic teams.
Yeah. Yep.
That gets smoked by Cincinnati and then comes back with a win, and then looks bad against Minnesota, and I think now at home will come back with a win against the Titans. I just feel like somehow the Steelers have 4 games left, and they're going to win 2 of them, and they're going to end up 8-1. It just seems in the cards, and this is one of them. This screams at me. They'll get the Titans while the Titans are missing Derrick Henry, and that's not to say the Titans won't be able to run on this team. Everybody's running on this team. My God, I thought Dalvin Cook was going to have 300 yards last week if they didn't slow their offense down in the second half. Like, my God. Oh, he had like 200 yards in the first half. Some of those holes, you could have driven like side-by-side tandem trucks through those holes. It was unbelievable. So the Steelers have a problem with that, and the Tennessee can still kind of run the ball even without Henry. So
they have been, yes, yep.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but I just have a feeling that the old gunslinger is going to pull one out of his dupa at home, and keep the Steelers somehow clinging to false hope that they actually are good.
And I agree that Ben took a beating in the first half. I remember I texting you, was like, I have never seen him Pittsburgh give up that many sacks while he was in there. And like, I know he usually gets pressured, but he like gets rid of the ball or whatever. But they really hit him hard.
And they hit him hard. It was, I think, 5 sacks, 9 hits.
Yeah.
And there was one he got hit from behind. I don't know how he got up from that. I mean, you could see they slowed down his face. He was like, "Rah!"
So yeah, give him a lot of credit for coming back from that. And
he's always been one tough SOB. That's one thing you can say about him. That's why he's going to the Hall of Fame. Next up, Sunday, 1 o'clock CBS. The 3-10 New York Jets travel down to Miami to take on the surging Dolphins at 6-7.
Yeah, speaking of winning streaks, I hope the Dolphins doesn't end here, because one more and they're back to 500.
5 games in a row
after starting 1-7, or something, like maybe it was 2-7.
1-7. They were 1-7.
They're kind of red hot right now. Tua is feeling it, like he's really getting into just being more like he had the skills, but more like being comfortable now.
Confidence is showing.
Yep. And a couple of receivers, especially Waddle, is like really connecting with them. The offensive line is doing just enough to let him have some breathing room to just get rid of the ball, and I think they'll win this game. I mean, the Jets are you see some weeks you see flashes of like progress, but then the following week they kind of let you know, no, now they got to go back to square one. So I don't know. I can't get a good feeling about the Jets. They're certainly capable of beating the Dolphins. I mean, I'm not saying the Dolphins are that much better than them, but I haven't seen any kind of consistency from them.
Yeah. I think you said it all with Miami. Tua, it goes back to that Ravens game, and I've said it before ad nauseum, but when he got benched, and then what's his name struggled there, back of Brissett struggled, and they put Tua back in there, and he was a different guy. Totally different, and he's been a different guy ever since. And I think that's part of the reason that they're on the roll they're on. You also have the emergence of Waddle. Waddle is starting to show up as a superstar. You've always had the great tight end. So they really, if they had a running game, any form of a running game, they'd be a really, really dangerous team. But I think they make the long climb all the way back to 500. I think they get this sucker to 7-7 with 3 games to go, and who knows what happens after that.
That'll be something.
And I've said it before, and I'll just say it one more time. Utmost respect to every player on that team for not packing it in at 1-7, for buying into the coaching staff's message, to buying into not giving up, to playing it all the way out, and look where they find themselves. So, good on Miami, and I hope they can pull it off Sunday.
Yeah, we've always been complimentary of that coaching staff, even previous years, and I was getting a little worried that they were going to lose the team. But geez, that was good that they didn't give up.
Brian Flores looks like he might be the one guy out of the Belichick coaching tree that is good. All the rest of them, Joe Judge is another. They're washing out. They always seem to wash out. It doesn't for whatever reason. You wonder if they were successful coordinators because they were underneath him and they just had they kind of had that shield, the Belichick shield, and they could always lean back on him if they needed to for anything. And when they got on their own, they tried to kind of copycat it, but they don't have the nuance. They don't have his brain, except maybe Flores. He looks like the one guy, the one exception to the rule here, I like him. I think he's a fantastic coach. Next up, Washington at 6-7 travel to Philadelphia at 6-7, 1 o'clock Fox.
Yeah, what's going on with these two teams? I haven't been able to get a read on either one of them.
They're both 6-7 for totally different reasons, though.
For totally different reasons. Yeah, Washington seemed to be getting on a run there until they played the Dallas defense. Heineke, he wasn't even playing that well to begin with, and then he got injured. So I'm not sure about. I think he is playing this
yeah,
week.
I'll quickly check up on that.
And these two teams are kind of gonna, like, one of them is gonna eliminate the other, because I don't think you can afford another. They're already 3 games behind the Cowboys, with only 4 games to play. So I mean, one of them is gonna eliminate the other. And in this type of situation on similar teams, in division, I'm gonna take the home team, the Eagles.
Okay. Got a little update for you. They better play Heineke because Kyle Allen is on the COVID's list.
Oh my gosh.
So along with
he did
Cam
pretty
Sims,
well there for a little bit.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Well, when he came in last week, he brought him back, and
I mean, you always wonder if it's like, that defense is so keyed in on the one quarterback, it tends to not
exactly
get the sea legs right away against someone who comes in. But whatever.
Well, what's interesting with it is you saw, like, with Heineke in there, he has this connection with McLaurin, right? And now they bring in Allen, and he's going to Cam Sims.
Yeah. He
had a totally different connection with a totally different receiver. So, and Sims is also on the COVID's list, so we won't see him this week either. But the Eagles are. I don't know who they are.
I know.
The one thing I know about the Eagles is that every time I put my bread in their basket, they drop it, they lose it. And so
I haven't been too good, but I think I've gotten the Eagles right 1 week out of the whole when they beat the Jets. That was the only week I got it right.
Yeah, they're bizarre. I got this feeling that Washington is gonna fix what went wrong last week and pull one out. I feel like Washington's kind of doing what they did last year down the stretch here. They're kind of. They're on the. I think they're the final seed right now. They're actually in the playoff race.
Yeah, they are. Yep, they are.
And I think they want to hang on to that. And part of that is get to, again, like Miami, get it to 7-7 with 3 to go and see what happens. And they have the Cowboys one more time.
They do have the Cowboys. Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. So I'm taking Washington on the road. Next up, the 10-3 Cardinals travel to Detroit to take on the 1-11-1 Lions, 1 o'clock on Fox.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, Arizona's going to be looking to bounce back after kind of stumbling against the Rams at home. You kind of saw some life from the Rams, and I think Kyler Murray is a great player. He had some great plays, but there was some kind of very, very painful mistakes, like in the red zone, like the interception. That was a bad interception. I know it was tipped, and then I think they couldn't convert it on 4th down as well down there. They could.
Well, that was dumb. They should have kicked right there.
Yeah,
they're down by 10. It's in the 4th quarter.
I agree.
If you kick there and you get it to 7, they got the ball back and scored a touchdown. Now you got a tie game, right?
Now yep. I agree. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's how they've been playing all year like that, doing the 4th down thing, just like the Chargers.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You live by it, and you kind of die
live by the sword,
die
by the sword, right?
But you know what? I don't think that was a terrible game for Arizona. I mean, they did lose the number 1 seed, but they still have the division in hand, and it wasn't like it was a blowout. They did show up. They were very resilient. They kind of almost came back. So against the Lions, I don't know how they can, Lions, they had that one win a couple weeks ago, and it's like I don't think they're going to win again.
No, Detroit hung in there against the Broncos, which was surprising in Denver.
They did.
In the first half, it was, what was it, like 14-10 or 13-10? And I was like, look at the Lions hanging. And then forget it. It was like blowout city in the second half. Yeah, I don't see. I'm sorry, Detroit, but number one pick for you again.
Yeah.
Cardinals will fix this. D Hop is probably not going to play, but I don't think they're going to really need him this week.
Yeah.
So
No.
they'll get right. They'll go to 11-3, and they gotta hold off those Rams. That's one
Yes,
thing
they
for
do.
sure. Next up, Carolina travels to Buffalo, 5-8 versus 7-6, 1 o'clock on Fox.
Yeah, that was another game that there was a big comeback by the Bills after being down 24-3 or something like that. Maybe it was
Yeah,
24.
yeah,
And then fall short, in overtime, lose in overtime. I mean, talk about a team that is now like desperate for win. I mean, if they can't pull this one at home against Carolina, who's like kind of just fell off the rails. I mean, their whole season, it's like they kind of just they was just barely holding on, and they just like that's it for them. I think if they can't win this one, then the Bills don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So I mean, they have their offense. I know we talked, well, maybe we didn't talk about it, but Josh Allen has like tweaked his ankle, I think, and it was a walking boot. I
yeah.
think I think it was still, was it still up in the air? Well, maybe probable, but
He's gonna
regardless,
play. He's gonna play.
I think this team could have won even without him against Carolina, because Carolina is kind of a mess right now. I you know again, McCaffrey's never, just always injured.
Yeah, and they placed McCaffrey on the COVID's list today.
Oh, okay.
Big theme this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carolina, it's like last year. I mean, we're seeing a couple of teams start to mirror what they did last year. Washington coming on strong down the stretch, Carolina falling off the map, the Raiders falling off the
Raiders.
map.
Yeah.
You're getting a little deja vu, Jay. Yeah, I don't know. I like Matt Rule. I think he's a decent coach, but I'm not
I know, but
sure. It's 2 years in a row now. And do you give him the McCaffrey excuse 2 years in a row?
yeah, no.
And
Can't
and
just be about that. No.
and if this doesn't tell Carolina that they need to address that situation with McCaffrey as well, I mean, he's not that old, but he's clearly starting to break down. I think because
Yeah.
he's just not durable. He can't. He used to be.
He definitely
He used
used
to
to be.
take a pounding, and he just kept getting up, and now he's getting hit. He's in and out of the lineup all the time. Chuba Hubbard's decent, but McCaffrey's one of those franchise guys, and if he's not playing, that affects their whole team. And then you have their quarterback situation.
That's even.
Cam Newton has regressed again. Looks like all he can do is run the ball. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
just lousy. And Darnold's coming back off IR. I don't know if they're going to give him the start this week. We might see a platoon situation. We might see Newton start and get pulled if he struggles, but I don't feel good about the Panthers at all. Where they were so much fun to watch in the beginning of the
Yeah.
year, they are just unwatchable now. They're just bad. And you're right, the Bills. This is make it or break it time for the Bills, and this is their 1 week to kind of pad the win column because they get the Patriots again.
Yeah. Yep.
So and they lost at home already to the Patriots, who threw 3 passes in the whole game.
Still can't
Bill
believe
Belichick he should have just taken on a megaphone and said, we're running on every play. Just letting you know, you won't be able to stop it. But this is what we're doing.
And we're running with scissors.
And we're running with scissors and beat them. So, yeah, Bills at home, but it's still iffy with them going forward.
Oh, I
Next
agree.
up,
After this, yeah.
into the 4 o'clock games, we got 4:05 CBS. The 7-6 Bengals against the 7-6 Broncos.
Yeah. Wow. The Bengals which were so much fun to watch, but they dropped a heartbreaker. That was another game that was kind of like San Francisco got ahead, and then the Bengals made a comeback just fell short. I don't know. I guess the only thing I could say is maybe the Bengals, like I think you mentioned this before, they're still a young team. They still have to learn how to win and win like consistently. And San Francisco, is finally playing like the team I thought they were going to be. But and I know it's in Denver, and we always wonder about the thin air, but like I said, the Bengals are a young team, should be able to overcome that, and they showed enough last week with Burrow and Jamar Chase to tell me that they're going to beat Denver here.
These two teams to me are almost the same, the way they're constructed. The glaring difference to me is the quarterback situation.
Yeah,
and I like Teddy Bridgewater, but Teddy's a backup.
Yeah.
And we said that before. Teddy's going to get you to 8-8. Teddy's going to get you, where they are, 7-6. He's going to win one. He's going to lose one. He's going to win one. With all the talent on the Broncos, those two backs are amazing, including the rookie, Williams. 3 awesome wide receivers, great tight end, excellent defense. And then you get the Bengals, who are constructed basically the same way.
The same, except for
these are two teams that are almost mirror images. It's that one spot. It's that quarterback spot. And so now it comes down to Burrow versus Teddy. Now, Teddy at home, like his stock at home goes up a little bit because they're at home and, like we said, with the thin air. But the Broncos, to me, without any scientific analysis or looking at anything, I could go back and look, but they seem like win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. They don't seem like a team that can put a little streak together. Cincinnati, on the other hand, I think they've had a couple of ugly ones the last couple of weeks. The Chargers game was very ugly last week. Yeah, they're not back when they were. I mean, 3 or 4 weeks ago, you're thinking Cincinnati's the team to beat in this division, and now
for sure.
And now they've just laid a couple eggs. It's bizarre to me, but I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati on the road as well. I just think, despite Zach Taylor saying nobody wants to play us because we're scary. Really?
You have to prove
why? Because you won more than 3 games this year? That's why you're scary? No. But look, the whole division is kind of in this logjam. Ravens 8-5, Cleveland 7-6, Cincinnati 7-6, and the Steelers 6-1. They're all stuck. There's like one game separating all these teams. So somebody's got to put their step forward, and if Cincinnati wants to be that team, this is the week to do it. So Cincinnati on the road. Next up, 405.
It goes. I think with the Bengals, it goes back to that very definitive statement game against the Steelers where they won and kind of like said, this is just another game, no big deal, and then kind of forgot what they were doing, how to win, and like you said, been playing some ugly games.
Yeah, I think that they might have said this was just another opponent, but they didn't. They didn't react that way. They reacted like we slayed the dragon,
and now we're
done. And then now they're getting punched in the teeth. Yeah. It's 405 on CBS, which is weird because they're both NFC teams. We have the Atlanta Falcons at 6-7, taking on the 7-6 49ers.
Yeah, just like we talked, the 49ers are just they're really Garoppolo. I know I don't think he's great, but he plays really good when the rest of the team kind of supports him, when the defense plays well and everything's clicking on offense, when the receivers aren't dropping the ball. And, they put together, a couple of quality wins against good opponents. And they see the playoffs coming, and Atlanta is like, I mean, if they can't beat Atlanta at home, which is not, if you compare the talent, I know the 49ers are usually like injury prone, but they got most of their guys back. If you compare talent wise, the 49ers are much better than the Falcons, who basically have Ryan and their tight end, I guess.
And Patterson.
And Patterson. That's right. They figured out how to use him.
Patterson's good. Yeah. Now, this is the game where the 49ers kind of copied the Cordarrelle Patterson thing with Deebo Samuel.
Oh, right, with Deebo Samuel. Yeah.
So we're going to have that little the game within the game thing. I love the game within the game. San Francisco versus last year, they're getting their guys back this year, and they're getting them back at the time you want to get them back.
Yeah.
Down the stretch, they've hung around. They're 500. The playoffs are definitely in sight. So they look like they're hitting their stride. So, I don't see Atlanta going up to San Francisco and doing much. They'll score a few points, but I think in the end, 49ers by 2 scores probably.
Yep.
Next up, 425 on Fox. The 5-8 Seahawks travel to LA to take on the 9-4 Rams.
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks have now won a couple of games against kind of subpar teams, and I don't take a lot from that. Uh, that being said, any kind of division, any kind of game that's within this crazy AFC West division, or any division for that matter, any team can beat any team. But after the Rams showed me what they could do again, after floundering around the previous couple of weeks, beating Arizona, that was probably their best game of the year, especially definitely of the second half of the year. I know they were doing very well at the beginning of the year. They kind of righted themselves after going on that losing streak, and they definitely shouldn't lose at home to like a subpar Seattle team.
I'm with you. Yeah, the Seahawks are, I've said it, we've talked about it. But for people watching for the first time, have not heard this. They've just lost too many valuable pieces over the years. Yeah. They're just who they are. They're the Seahawks, and they're an opponent again. I remember I used to joke back in the 80s and 90s that the Seahawks were just an opponent.
Right.
They were always 8-8 or 7-9 or 9-7. They would show up and give you a game. They might win it, they might lose it, but they're going to show up and give you a game. And the Seahawks will show up and give the Rams a game.
I think they will. Yep.
But they're just an opponent now. Yeah, and the Rams, they got their running game going. How many times were we talking about how they seemed to abandon their running game and they went away? 2 years ago during the Super Bowl based on a running game. It really helped Matthew Stafford this week, and he rekindled his bromance with Cooper Kupp for sure.
Yep.
What, they 14 targets or something on Cooper Kupp, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
he seemed comfortable again in the back there. Like he hadn't over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah,
he seemed very comfortable back there again. Like he kind of got back what he had earlier in the year.
Yeah, the Rams. The week before they played the Jags, you couldn't really tell if they'd come out of their little slump. Last week they looked like they came out of their slump. That was impressive what they did. So I was shocked. I mean, even though it came down to another onside kick.
Yep.
And the Cardinals got it, but the Cardinals, boy, they went backwards in a hurry on that, didn't they? Oh my God!
That needs to be mentioned. The Rams' defense had really stepped up in this game specifically, and they really need them for the rest of the year and to do well in the playoffs. But wow, I know Kyler Murray is a running quarterback too, but he was running for his life half the time.
Yeah. So, and he took a horrible sack there. But yeah, it's Rams looked pretty good, and if they, I'll give them, again, the Seahawks will be game, but this is not one of these world beater opponents. So I'm gonna hold back that the Rams have come all the way back. I'm gonna,
okay.
You know what? And I got to give credit where credit's due on one play in particular, because I've got to hold myself accountable. If I'm gonna bang on a guy, and I'm gonna call a guy out all the time for being a menace to his team and a cancer in the locker room and just kind of what do you even need him, a disruptive force, if you will. OBJ made one of the smartest plays.
I saw that, yeah.
Where he ran out of bounds after catching a ball, and it looked like, what'd you do that for? You're trying to milk clock. He ran backwards, which keeps the clock running.
Right.
And that was a brilliant play on his part.
And you even saw that he
knew what he was doing because
he kept saying, the clock should run.
Right. As soon as he stepped out of bounds, he turned to the ref and said, "So you better run that clock." Right.
Yep.
Really heads up play. So
smart,
you know what? I rip on the guy all the time, but credit where credit is due. That was really smart, and it helped because it looked like after that onside kick that this could go into overtime.
Yep.
So. These things are never over. That's one thing this season's taught us. These things are never, ever over. Next up, 4:25 on Fox, the 10-3 Packers travel to Baltimore to take on the 8-5 MASH unit.
Yeah, I can't figure out Baltimore. I know they're hit. They're kind of like last year's San Francisco 49ers, but went much further than them dealing with those injuries. And even last week against Cleveland, I know they made a big comeback. And when Jackson was there, when who Baltimore wants to be there in order to win games, he wasn't, even before he went out with an injury, he wasn't doing well at all.
He's been
He was
struggling the last
ineffective.
3 or 4
He's
weeks.
struggling, and
Yeah.
it's like I can't explain it. I can't. Maybe it's because of their offensive line. Maybe that they're struggling the most, and it's just not helping him. They've also lost a lot of good key pieces on defense that really should worry them. Um, and the Packers are just. I know it was against the Bears, but some of those passes that Aaron Rodgers made, they were just so good. Oh my gosh! I mean, no, I didn't expect the Bears. They gave him a great game and went off to a lead, but even then, what were they up by, like 2 touchdowns at one point, or at least by 10 points? I didn't at any time think that the Packers were gonna lose that game. Aaron Rodgers seems to be playing at his top like game of this season. Like I know he's probably doing that at the beginning of the season too, but right now he's like kind of locked in, more a lot like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And I got to go with I know it's going to be big trouble for Baltimore, and they desperately need this game, but I have to go with the Packers here.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, you know where it goes back to for me? I mean, he's always been, let's face it. I mean, remember, this team has 3 losses. One of them was opening day, and they looked completely inept.
Yeah.
Completely inept on opening day. You take that one away, Aaron Rodgers has played phenomenal all year, and he might win another MVP. Who knows?
Yeah.
To me, the game was when they played the Cardinals, and he had no receivers.
Yep.
And we've heard all summer long how disgruntled he was. We hear how it's his last year there. I'm hoping he ends up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there you go.
But that game, when I saw him in the post-game interview, he was so excited. He was so happy for those young guys who drove him nuts during the game. I mean,
yeah, I know.
He was rolling his eye. He's yelling at them. They're out of position. They were running wrong routes. But he stuck with them. And he guided them, and they won that game, and they gritted it out. And like that, to me, seemed like, yeah, he was playing at Aaron Rodgers level football. And then that game happened, and he went to next level Aaron Rodgers football. And he's actually having fun with this team. I think he really likes Dillon, the running back. He's got two great running backs. He's got an arsenal of wide receivers. And he lost his great tight end, but then they bring in this other dude. That guy's pretty good. I think Aaron Rodgers just makes whoever's in that lineup better. And you occasionally hit the Valdes Scandlings and these other guys occasionally,
sure, yeah.
But that Devontae Adams is a superhero. Let's face it.
And the thing is, with that connection, like I know opposing teams aren't stupid. They know he's their biggest threat, and somehow I see him wide open a lot. And you know what? I forgot his name. I give the head coach and the coaching staff a lot of credit for that. I know Rodgers and Adams do the play, but to design these plays to constantly get him open, I give him a lot of credit for that. I think they're I can't believe I can't think of his name, but and he's an offensive head coach too. Like
who, LaFleur? You're thinking of Matt
LaFleur? Yeah, there you go. I give him a lot of credit for designing these plays that consistently gets their best receiving weapon open, despite teams must know that there's going to him.
Yeah, there was one he made a catch down near or somewhere around the 5-yard line. He caught it in between three Chicago white jerseys, which means he was double covered and they rolled a safety.
Yeah.
And he caught the ball, split them, and scored a touchdown. He's superhuman. They both are. That Rodgers-Adams connection. Now, here's the big thing. Green Bay is going to have a horrible salary cap situation next year.
Yeah.
Horrible. So, let's say the Steelers hypothetically make a trade for Aaron Rodgers because he wants to leave. Because he's not going to want to stay where they're going to lose so many pieces next year. Devontae Adams is a free agent.
Oh, wow.
The Steelers are going to have a ton of cap money. Could they bring them both into Pittsburgh?
Wow. If that ever happened, that would be like such a complete turnaround so quick. Jeez.
Really quick. With that defense? Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So, boy, dare to dream. It's my Christmas wish. It's on my Christmas list. Santa. Oh, Santa.
Jeez.
Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, please. Okay. Now, the Ravens, Jackson's dinged up. He's day-to-day. He might play. He might not play. Huntley, though, I got to say, Huntley is not bad.
No.
Huntley comes in, and he's almost like Dollar Tree Lamar. He plays kind of the same way. He's just not nearly as talented.
Yeah. Yep.
But they're in a world of hurt. They just signed Josh Johnson from the Jets.
Yep.
I mean, losing Humphreys hurts them a lot. And you're right, their offensive line, they have a rusty door named Alejandro Villanueva at left tackle. And, they've been getting by with these, practice squad running backs or these waiver wire signing running backs. But I think John Harbaugh's done an amazing job. An amazing job of getting this team to 8-5 with everything they've been faced with. But I think at some point, the season's just too long to hide all those deficiencies. It's just too long, and it will catch up with you. And I think it's now catching up with them.
Yep.
And your team drew up the blueprint on how to stop Lamar. Because ever since Miami put in that cover 0, and every team since has used it, he looks very average.
Yeah, he looks very average.
And Baltimore's got to sit down at the drawing board, and they've got to figure that thing out. They have. Yep. And they will, because again, their coaching staff is that good. But man, this cover 0 thing is really, really affected the way the whole thing works. And Greg Roman's a really good offensive coordinator. So
he's got to come up with a way to fight that.
But he needs a healthy Lamar to do that, and he doesn't have that right now. He's got Lamar on one bad stick. So I'm going also Green Bay on the road because I think the Packers right now might be the best team in the NFC as it stands. And there's a lot of good ones, but in fact, the next game has one of those good ones. And it ain't the Saints. 8:20 NBC. Chris and Al call the 6-7 Saints visiting the Tampa Brady Buccaneers.
Yeah, this game might have been like a game of the week, a few years ago when the Saints had
last
a quarterback.
year even,
last year. But I mean, the Bucs are just. I do get a little bit worried that they kind of let the Bills back into it, but like you said before, on these type of games, sometimes you see that you have like a big cushion and you relax a little bit, and before you know it, the snowball's running down the hill. So, but the important thing is they held up and they still won that game. I think mostly thanks to Tom Brady, because the Bucs defense played very well at the beginning, in the first half, and then they kind of just fell apart a little bit. Maybe they relaxed too much. That being said, Bucs at home, against the Saints, who don't really have a quarterback. I know Peyton's a great coach, but as you said about Baltimore, sooner or later these things catch up to you, and you can't like put smoke and mirrors in front of them anymore. Yeah. So Bucs at home.
Yeah. Like I said it at the beginning, and I won't take up too much time on this one, but the Buccaneers are starting to look like they did last year.
Yep.
It's another one of those deja vus from last year. The Buccaneers put the hammer down right around this time and won their last 4 or 5 in a row, straight through the playoffs, and won the whole thing. And they've got Gronk back, they've got their weapons. Yeah. They're going to get Antonio Brown back in another week.
Wow, yeah.
So and Tom Brady's Tom Brady, and he knows what to do. I mean, again, if you watch those shows, you're going to get inside Tom Brady's head, and you're going to see exactly like how he operates, how hard he works. And I have a kind of a different perspective on Tom Brady now. But the best part is listening to him drop so many F-bombs. But so, yeah, Tampa Bay at home. I don't think this will be too close at all. Next up, the last game of the week. ESPN gets it 8:15. The 6-7 Vikings travel to Chicago to take on the 4-9 Bears.
And I thought Chicago did a little bit better with Fields in there.
Yeah,
competing
night and day
with the Packers for a while. And I think they'll definitely compete in this game as well. And for how we've seen the Vikings this year and the last couple of years, they could very well this is a game they could easily lose, especially in Chicago. I'm going to go with the Vikings because I think they're kind of, they're going to ride that Thursday night win against Pittsburgh that they didn't blow, and they had the extra time. And they know Chicago very well. Their defense should do very well against Chicago. But I would not be shocked if they blow this game because this is the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings, if you look at it at surface level, it looks like they had a great game against the Steelers, but Dalvin Cook had a great game against the Steelers.
Right, it's true.
The Kirk Cousins was not good at all, especially in the second half when they have to depend on him. It started to get away from them a little bit, and that's when you want your franchise quarterback to batten the hatches, and he couldn't do it. This is my problem with Kirk Cousins. This is my problem with guys like him and Carson Wentz, and they're just not. These are not Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks. I don't care how good their stats are in the regular season. These are not. You tell me that you want Kirk Cousins bringing your team to a Super Bowl? No way. No way. Come on. On the other side of the ball, I think Justin Fields down the road could be a Super Bowl quarterback. What a difference with him in there. What a difference. I mean, that first half, it was, they were flying along and having a good old time.
Yep.
He's only going to get better. It's all upside for him. I just hope that they can bring in a better coaching staff that won't wreck him.
Yeah.
There is that possibility that 3 years from now, with the wrong people around him, they just wreck him.
Yep.
But right now, he's playing on a lot of it's just his raw athleticism, and he's just fun to watch. He's a joy to watch. And, the Bears have always had these boring pocket passer type quarterbacks, and they brought in Trubisky to kind of be a mobile run and throw kind of guy, but he clearly didn't work out. But I root for Justin Fields. I want Justin Fields to do well, and we'll see. But the Bears definitely, if there's one glaring need in the offseason for them, it's a coaching staff. So I'm gonna. Ooh, this is a toss up though.
I know it is. It is a toss up
because with Fields, the Bears can put up some points, and they are home, and they're outside against Minnesota, who comes from their sanitized little sandbox. But I feel like
we'll have a good running game too. But
and that's the thing. If they can open those holes for Dalvin Cook again, I don't care how cold it is or where they're playing. They're going to win the game, and Minnesota's got more to play for. Let's face it, they have
definitely.
to. They're making a playoff push here, and the Bears are done. So, I'll give the edge to the Vikings, but like as you like to say, I'm not so confident about that.
No,
because it could go the other way.
Because that's the way the Vikings play these type of games. They lose these type of games. Yep.
Yeah, that's for sure. But one thing we can count on, it's going to come down to the last 20 seconds. Because that's what the Vikings do.
Which is good for the audience for sure.
I mean, good God, right? Man. All right, let's take a quick gander at the old playoff picture.
Oh, yeah.
Before we sign off
there were some changes.
There were, and we forgot to do this last week. So here we go. So the Patriots hold the top spot in the AFC.
Unbelievable. I still whatever.
It's amazing. Love him or hate him, you got to bow down to Bill Belichick. You got to.
Yep.
The Titans are at number 2, Chiefs 3. Chiefs are coming up. Ravens drop down to number 4.
Baltimore, yeah.
Chargers hold the 5th spot. Colts go up 3 spots.
Yep. This is the first time they've actually been kind of like within the...
Inside the... Yeah, they've been outside on the fringe the whole time. They finally got inside, number 6 seed, and the Bills hold on to the number 7. The Bills had the top spot. Like 3 weeks ago, the Bills had the top spot.
Top spot, yeah. What a freaking change.
On the bubble in the AFC, you got the Browns in slot 8, Bengals in 9, Broncos 10, and 11 Steelers. So you have 3 AFC North teams.
Jeez.
Banging on the door there. And then you got the Raiders and the Dolphins hanging on. So it's wide open. With 4 games to play, we're going to see a lot of movement in the AFC, that's for sure. NFC? The NFC is a different story because the good teams are damn good.
They're really good, yeah.
They're damn good.
They could still move around in that top 4, but they're all really
That's just it. I mean, it's just they're going to be jockeying for position, but they're really good teams. I mean, Green Bay at 1, they moved up to grab that. Buccaneers moved up to grab number 2. Cardinals dropped down to 3 from 1. Dallas hangs in there at 4. The Rams hang in there at 5. The 49ers move up to number 6. And Washington drops to number 7, but still there with a 6-7 record. And so after you get past those first 5 teams, there's a definite
big drop.
Downgrade. Although, again, we're grading the 49ers on a curve.
Yes. Yep.
Because if they didn't have the snake bites again at the beginning of the year, they could be right there with the Rams and Arizona.
Yep.
And it looks like they're starting to assert themselves now. Outside looking in, Vikings are moved up to number 8. Eagles drop to 9. Falcons move up to 10. Saints move up to 11. Then Carolina, Seattle, Giants, and Bears. So
yeah, I'm sorry, but after the Vikings and maybe the Eagles, I can't give anybody else much of a chance. I know they're in the hunt, but
Atlanta could squeak in maybe.
Starting with Atlanta, I can't.
Yeah, I could probably give Atlanta a shot. Without looking at their schedule. But
no, I could give them a shot getting in, but it would be kind of like to me, unwatchable playoff.
Yeah, a waste of a playoff game.
Yeah,
and then we actually have 4 teams eliminated, believe it or not. The
Wow,
Lions. The
officially.
Lions are out, and I don't understand how that math works out. The Lions still have a shot, I thought. No, nobody? No?
No.
Neither do Jacksonville, Houston, or the Jets. So.
The Jets officially eliminated. Okay.
Yeah. Sadly, I think fans of Detroit, Jacksonville, Houston, and the Jets knew at opening kickoff back in September that they were already out. So that is no news to anyone. So.
But see, there's more teams that are outside the bubble in the AFC that I give a real shot than there are in the NFC. And the NFC is like just
that's because, again, like we said, everybody in the AFC is kind of in this weird 500-ish bubble. They're all so close. They're all win one, lose one teams. It's weird. Yeah. But you have those elite teams in the NFC that have pulled away from the pack, and then everybody else. So. And
as we predicted, or anybody could have predicted, AFC West, might see 3 teams there.
Or AFC North, you might see 3 teams.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. In the NFC, in the AFC.
Oh, in the NFC West, you mean?
I apologize. In the NFC West, we kind of knew right from the beginning when we were doing our pre-season things that we thought that most likely 3 teams would come out of there because that was such a good division. But yeah, and as the way it looks, the AFC North too,
and the AFC West. You were right the first time too, because you've got the Chargers, the Chiefs, and possibly either the Raiders or the Broncos could get in there.
That's right. You're right. I can't even think of like them, but
because
you're right.
The South's going to get 1. No, the South might get 2. South might end up with 2 if the Colts continue on their trajectory.
But if that happens, that would be a lot of like disappointed because a team like the Bills could be disappointed.
Yeah.
A team like I don't know, the Colts could be disappointed for that to happen. Jeez.
I mean, there's potential that Miami leapfrogs the Bills here. I mean,
that would be the ultimate laugh.
It's crazy. You laugh, but you don't know. You just
I'm just like absurdity type thing.
And we're not looking at everybody's schedule. We're not forecasting. We're just spitballing here that could happen.
I know,
just based on what's
right.
left. But this is where it gets fun.
Yep.
So. We don't really have enough time. I wanted to go over the NFL Man of the Year nominees, but I guess we'll tack it on next week or something.
Yeah,
so
a little bit more
we'll get
time.
to that at some point. But anything else to add?
Nope. The NFL is crazy. That's all I have to say.
It is crazy,
and it's awesome.
It is. It's the best 4 months of the year, I think. I love baseball. I love hockey. But they're longer seasons, and you can kind of digest it, and because they play so many games, you can digest it a little slower. The football is a mad scramble.
Everything seems to be critical right from the beginning.
That's it. Yeah. You've got 4 months, and every loss counts. It's once a week, so you can kind of prepare. You digest. You can take in all the information all week long.
Right.
And it's
you have some time to digest it. Yeah.
Right. Whereas like last night I was talking to my uncle in Pittsburgh, and he's like, "Oh, I'm watching the Penguins," and I'm like, "Oh, I forgot they were on." Right. See, because hockey they play so many games.
They're on a lot.
Yeah. And even when they're on, I was like, "Who are they playing?" Oh, the Canadians. See, but in football, who your next opponent is for sometimes weeks in advance, but at least that one whole week you're hearing all the hype and whatnot. So. It's a different animal. The NFL is a different animal than any other sport. That's what makes it so great and so unique, and why we cover it to death on this channel.
And now starting next week, even more comes even better. Even more favorite for me. The Saturday games start. Is that the beginning of Saturday games?
This week is the beginning of
end,
Saturday,
or is just one? Oh, okay.
No, yeah, they do it because college football's over.
That's right. So this is
Yeah.
this is even kind of heightens it for me because it's like before I used to be like, oh no, okay, I got to wait Saturday, the whole Saturday before football. But now you got Saturday games too. So
Yeah, it's this is the fun part. Now we'll have some bad weather games. We'll get some snow
oh
games.
yeah,
Well, look at that snow globe game with New England and Buffalo. That was
oh yeah.
insane. The winds and everything else. So, again, Bill Belichick's like, I'm running the ball. So, anyway, love to get what
Yep.
you guys think. Send in your picks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And tell your friends and stuff. You can also find us on Rumble and occasionally on the socials at the GeekTimeNet because I hate social media.
I know.
You
me
know,
too.
like when I just don't look at it for a long amount of time, it makes me happy.
Yep.
All right. We got to boogie this
Okay.
thing.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?